everyone, this is Rachel, and I'm here for another episode of Lift and Sketch with Christy and Rachel. Now, today we are doing a sketch, and this is by Christine Davidson from Creative Scrappers. And I'm starting off using these two rather large chipboard pieces. This is another one of those pieces I found while I was doing a purge in my scrap area. And I'm like, I actually really still like these, even though technically I guess they're not what would be considered trendy. So I wanted to I put them to the side to see if I could use them, and then I saw this sketch, and I thought, you know what, I think I could use those for this sketch. So that's why I ended up choosing this sketch for us. And just as a reminder, we do have our anniversary contest going on, so all you have to do is do one of our sketches or lifts, any one of the ones we've done over the past year, and link it on Facebook or post a link here or send me an email. All of that information is in the video I'm going to link below. That was the video about announcing the contest. You do have until October 8th. So you've got 2 more weeks. We might be extending that. Now let's get back to this layout. I covered the 2 chipboard circles with gesso, and now I'm using my Heidi Swap Color Shine in both mint and peach. And I'm using a paper towel to kind of spread out the color because I didn't want it as dark as the sprays naturally occur. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to take a heat tool and dry it, and then I'm going to add more peach just to get it a little bit darker. I'm trying something a little bit different this time. Instead of cutting out what I would usually cut out, instead what I did was sped it up a lot more than I normally would. So normally I have it at 4 times, but when things start to get repetitive or when things start to go on for a long time, I just sped it up a whole bunch so you can see everything, but it didn't end up being like 25 minutes long. If that's okay with you guys, if you prefer to have that, shoot me a comment. If you prefer I just cut it out altogether, let me know that as well. Okay, so I'm cutting all of these down. I cut my photos to 3x3, and then these pieces from the 6x6 paper pad of Fancy Free. That's what I'm working with today. Is almost, I think everything is Fancy Free actually. And these are going to be 3.5, and then I'm also going to cut some white cardstock, just a scrap piece I had sitting in my area, and I'm going to cut those down to 4x4. I'm going to realize later that I cut everything far too large, except for the photos. I do keep those at 3x3 because I wasn't paying attention to the size. So here I am cutting the paper down to 4x4. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mat each photo with the color, and then I'm going to mat that with the white. So, ta-da! I'm going to go ahead and get that all taped down. And now, totally don't understand. I had no idea I was doing this. I'm bopping along. I'm happy with the way everything looks. I'm annoyed at someone who just bumped into my tripod. It could have been an animal. I have no idea. I never remember later on. I remember during the time, I'm like, ooh, and then I don't remember, like when I go ahead and do the voicemail. Voiceover, not voicemail. All right. Moving on. All right, I'm going to get this third photo down, and I think here's where I realize that these are far too big. And I'm like, oh, sugar. Ugh. We're going to move on. Now, before I gessoed these, I marked it up with a marker, like where they overlap, so I could trim those out with my slicey tool thing. Craft knife. And so I just went ahead and cut it out and then kind of placed it together, holding it together with some washi tape before I glued it all down. Now, I'm going to go ahead, and here's where I sped it up really fast, because I'm doing the exact same thing as before. I'm just cutting it down so that they're at 1/4 inch differentials instead of 1/2 inch. So once that's all set, I'm going to go ahead and add some foam tape to the back of the photos where they don't fall on the chipboard circles, basically just to make up the space so they all rest at the same level, rather than have that center photo, because it's in the open part of the circle, wind up being lower than the other 2 photos. So once I do that, I am happy with the way this looks. I really like how it turned out. I am going to start to punch out these circles, and these come in the 6x6 paper pad, so they're perfect for a 1-inch circle. They have both ones with words and then ones with just patterns. I'm going to end up only using a couple of those in the end, although I cut out a whole bunch, but that's okay. I wouldn't really use those papers as they were. I would only use them to cut out, so I'm okay with going ahead and having done this. Now, this is actually a few days later. I have a very sad story. Not really. I lent my friend my tripod because she writes dinner theater shows and she wanted to record it. And the guys setting it up for her broke my tripod. They pulled too hard and yanked the leg out. So I had to order a new tripod from Amazon, and I had to wait a couple days while that ended up coming in. So good news, I have the new tripod. This part of the layout is being filmed on it. It works perfectly fine. So yay. But, let's take a moment of silence for the death of my first tripod. I think that's a good enough time. Okay, we've got all the photos laid down. Now, I'm pulling out all my embellishments now. I finally got my hands on the Fancy Free ephemera pack, and I looked through it tonight, I don't actually use anything from it because right now I'm putting down my title. My title's on I'm using the foam words from the Fancy Free line, so it's just going to be Wander Here and Now. Because it's so large and I'm using a pattern paper background and I've got 3 photos and I've got those 2 big colorful circles, I wanted to keep the rest of my layout pretty simple. So really, my embellishments are going to be a couple more of these glitter things. I'm going to use an arrow, and then I'm going to end up using those cross stitches. I'm just going to use them as plus signs. And the only other embellishments I'm adding are those 3 circles down in the lower right-hand corner, and I'm going to add 3 more to the upper right-hand corner as well. So even though in the sketch there are more embellishments in that lower left-hand corner, I decided not to do that because I thought the layout was busy enough. I didn't want to add to that. I am going to go ahead and do my journaling. This happens to be a place in Connecticut called Lake McDonough, and it's a really nice lake that my housemate and her son and some of his friends went to several times this summer. They went on Mondays because my housemate is a hairstylist and she has Mondays off and I do not, so unfortunately I did not get to go with them, but they had a fabulous time. They took some beautiful photos and I wanted to make sure that that memory was kept for them, so I'm doing this layout for it. So I'm getting these other circles laid down, and once I get those all glued down, I'm going to move on to adding some of the chipboard pieces from the chipboard sheet. Now what I decided to do is go with these 3 small, medium, and large size floral pieces because I figured, well, this is outside, flowers are outside, makes sense to me. I'm going to remember to reinforce the 2 biggest pieces with some liquid glue because I find that chipboard pieces after a while stop sticking, but by the time I remember to do it to the smallest piece, it has completely stuck to that paper, and I didn't want to rip the paper by yanking it back up, so I just left it, and I figure, well, if it falls out by the time I get it in a page protector, I will go ahead and reinforce it then. So I go ahead and trim up those circles, the parts that are hanging off the edge here, and I am almost done. So I'm going to take this time to remind you guys to go over to Christy's channel and check out her take on the sketch. Also send her some love. She's got some hard times going on right now. I mean, she's super happy because she's going to have a baby, but her older son's having some medical issues. So if you could send her some love, that would be super awesome. I am adding some Heidi Swapp Color Shine in mint, and then I'm going to finish it off by adding these, well, they're supposed to be X's like for cross stitch, but I just turned them on their side and made them plus signs. That is it for me. I hope you guys are having a great day. It's fall here in New England and awesome weather. Hope everyone could flip me a thumbs up if they can, and bye!